Hi, Beck Mack here for Pops Art, and I am with the man of the moment, Mick Richards, who's just opened his incredible show, Above and Bellow, here at Redcliffe Art Gallery. How are you feeling, Mick?
Very good. It's nearly over now.
I am just in awe of your body of work. This is like decades and decades of making, but not just making, building relationships, being part of culture, documenting the moment, and almost like as in a performative way, being integral to these people's lives. How do you feel right now to be seeing it all?
Look, it's yeah, quite amazing to get it all up on the walls. Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. And working with WARRABAH here, so it's good to work with a young curator and also Con. So to have two curators, and they picked the images.
Now, Warraba, you had your work cut out, 500,000 images. How did you achieve that?
Well, there was a lot of work going through each of the images with Con and Mick, and really trying to look at the relationship between the images, and with Mick informing us about what was happening at the time, the histories, the context. So yeah, it was a very big process. Yeah.
Wonderful because we just went on the tour to see how you juxtapose the images, the times, the themes, the contradictions, and we started at this point. So, Mick, can we just talk about this image here? It's incredibly powerful. It was 1993. So, what was going on?
1993, Daniel Yock was killed in police custody, and then a week later, this protest march was organised by Marshall Bell, Richard's brother, and a few sort of trade union officials, and just by word of mouth, they got 10,000 people to come on the march. And yeah, and it's quite interesting because there's still constant deaths in custody now, and like nothing has changed except the number of people who go on the protests.
And is that your perception? Because Con did mention that in his talk, that this exhibition does map what has changed and what hasn't changed within that cultural conversation. Do you feel there has been some movement, or are we still in the same place?
I think it's got worse. I think it's got worse, if anything. Yeah, I think it's just got a bit more organised. No, I don't think things are any better. There was a death up in the Northern Territory some months ago, and that was just a blatant shooting, and the guy walked,
And I guess that's why works like these, to have them collectively put on a wall for us to walk through the narratives and the lives, is it is a really moving experience. But also for you, Warraba, you juxtapose this image next to this one. And this is the first thing we see almost when we walk in. What are you, I guess this is your storytelling. What story are you telling here?
Well, I'm not the storyteller. I'm just helping arrange them, and the narratives already exist. It's pretty obvious that there's when you're first greeted by the image of the Daniel Yock protest, that there is a dominant narrative that is in opposition to that. That's why we have to protest on the streets, to get recognition of those things, and so. On the flip side of that is a lot of the nationalism that exists within Australia that becomes violent, and it's a systemic process that works to it's part and parcel of the treatment of Indigenous peoples within Australia. But it's not just that in the image. There's also the Bob Katter and his delegates there who are posted with the Australian flag and the Eureka flag, and with some pretty grim looks on their faces. So it's just to me, when I see the image, it was a very cowboy type of image, that there wasn't much consideration to many others but themselves.
And there still isn't. And Mick, what do you think you've driven a lot of this from your own inspiration, from your own volition. What's the driving force for you as an artist to be capturing these moments?
It's just something I do. It's like painters paint. I take photographs. I don't know. I don't really see any sort of driving force, just what I instinctively do.
for me, and I might ask Warraba, what I've witnessed here today is such a core of humanity and what it is to be a human, but a human that is at a point of like transformation, or there's kind of pressure, there's chaos, and there's performance in this, what's going on around it. What do you think Mick is drilling into or revealing to us?
I don't think it's as codified as that. I think that there's just a, life sort of happening, Mick's forming relationships, and that's documented along the way. And he just happens to be friends with a lot of interesting people.
Really cool people.
and at the right place at the right time to, catch a lot of these things. So it's just, showing a history unfolding in some ways, yeah.
It's remarkable. Now, is that it now? We're going to go on holidays, or what's up next?
Well, there's going to be some artists. I'm going to do some artist talks here, so I'm going to be giving like a guided tour. They're on, I think, the 4th and the 26th of June. Yep. And then I'm doing a masterclass in photography, I think, on, I don't know what date it is. I'm doing that as well, so I'm going to be around here.
Fantastic. And for you, Warraba, what would you like people to take away from experiencing this show?
I think it's important for people to look beyond just the image and consider the context and what's in them, but also the proximity to the other images, and look how they relate, or look how they're at their difference. It's assessing not only the differences within the images, but assessing the differences within our own lives and what our experiences are, and how that's not always the same as everyone else, and that just builds up the complexities and diversity of our own lives.
Absolutely. And finally, there's a lot of people I recognise in these images, but there's one that has not aged. Disco Dave. How is he still being Disco Dave? He hasn't aged an inch. In 1985, he was like off his chops in the Tube Club.
That's Disco Dave. He's got the Peter Pan. He's got the Peter Pan gene.
Well, thank you so much, Mick. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for your work, WARRABAH. And come and see the show. It's extraordinary. You need some time, but spend the time with these works, and it's remarkable. So thank you, Mick.
Thank you.